It happened in silence. But in that silence, stood a father, a son, and a moment that will never leave Denmark's heart. What Prince Christian and King Frederik just did, it's something the world was never meant to forget. In the grand hall of Amalienborg Palace, beneath the soft echo of century-old walls, the cameras had stopped rolling. But something more powerful than royal tradition happened. King Frederik, usually composed, regal, immovable, placed his hand gently on Prince Christian's shoulder. No words at first, just a pause, a breath, and then, a simple phrase that left the room trembling. "Today, you made me proud, not just as your king, but as your father." No proclamation, no trumpet, just 2 generations of Danish royalty caught in a moment where history bent to emotion. The setting had been planned for weeks, a formal gathering following the public celebrations of Prince Christian's latest royal milestone. But what wasn't planned, was the raw, human beauty that unfolded. The nation had watched Prince Christian rise over the years, from the playful child holding Queen Margrethe's hand, to the poised crown prince standing on stages in Paris, Madrid, and Oslo. But on this day, Denmark didn't see a title. They saw a son. And King Frederik, he didn't speak as a monarch. He looked at his son like every father who's ever wondered, did I raise him well? Did I do enough? And in that quiet space, he got his answer. People in the room, staff, dignitaries, foreign royals, they didn't look away. Some were seen wiping their eyes. Because what they witnessed was not rehearsed. Not part of protocol. It was intimate. Real. Later that evening, Princess Mary was overheard saying something simple yet profound to those nearest her. "I've never seen him look at Christian like that before." It wasn't pride in the crown, it was pride in the man. And that's where this moment begins to matter more. This wasn't about an heir. This wasn't about duty. It was about a bond, a father finally seeing the boy he raised, now standing as his equal. Some say it was triggered by Prince Christian's words earlier that day, spoken in near-perfect Danish, French, and Spanish as he addressed a multinational crowd outside the palace. He said, "To lead is not to rule. It is to listen. And today, I listen to my father, to my people, and to the voice of responsibility calling me forward." It wasn't just what he said. It was how he said it. Calm, gentle, intentional. And when those words reached King Frederik's ears, something changed. You could see it in the way his jaw relaxed. In the way his eyes didn't just observe, they softened. Those who know King Frederik personally say he's not quick to show emotion. He carries the weight of monarchy with a deep seriousness. But something about that day, with the Danish flag gently waving above them, and Princess Leonor of Spain seen in quiet admiration near the royal family, broke the usual stiffness of ceremony. Even foreign guests felt it. French President Macron, who was seated just a few rows behind the royal family, whispered to his wife Brigitte, "This is the future of Europe. And it's not power, it's grace." And that grace, it radiated from Prince Christian, not in grandeur, but in humility. When the crowd eventually thinned and speeches gave way to mingling, King Frederik found his son again. And for a second time that day, he broke protocol. He reached for Christian's hand, not in a firm, political shake, but in the quiet, fatherly clasp of someone who remembered holding that same hand when it was small and trembling. And then, before anyone could take another photo, he pulled him in. It was quick, but the embrace was real. Royal security looked uncertain. Protocol officers checked their notes. But the crowd, they didn't care. Because in that second, Denmark remembered why they love their royal family. Not because of palaces or titles, but because of moments like this. Later that night, a single candle was lit outside the gates of Amalienborg, with a note placed gently beside it in a child's handwriting. It read, "I want to be a father like him." The palace didn't comment. They didn't have to. The message had already been received by millions across Europe. On social media, a photo of King Frederik looking at Prince Christian has now been shared over 2 million times. Caption after caption speaks of hope, inheritance of honor, and the future of kingship in gentle hands. And perhaps the most powerful image from that day wasn't even taken by a professional photographer. It was snapped by a schoolteacher from Aarhus, there to see the ceremony with her students. She caught the moment King Frederik walked behind his son as they exited the palace. But didn't walk in front of him. He let Christian lead. That gesture, so small, meant everything. Because it was a public way of saying, "You are ready. And I trust you." Royal historians are already calling it the turning day, a subtle passing of emotional torch between monarch and heir. Not in laws, not in signed decrees, but in something far more lasting. Affirmation. In the hours that followed, Princess Leonor of Spain was seen sharing a quiet moment with Prince Christian near the gardens. It was gentle, brief, but captured by someone standing close enough to hear a single word from Leonor's lips. Beautiful. Whether she meant the day, the speech, or the way Christian handled it all, we may never know. But what is certain, is that something historic took place. And not just because cameras caught it. Because hearts did. This was not just a royal event. It was a reminder that even behind the titles, even beneath the crowns, there are fathers, sons, families, and in the case of Denmark, there is love. Unshaken, unspoken, but forever understood. And if you ask anyone who was there, if you ask the children watching from the crowd, or the elderly woman who clutched her flag tighter that day, they'll all tell you the same thing. They didn't just see royalty. They saw a moment. One that Denmark will never forget.